is. And, well, the first match today is going to be between Atlas Lions and the Fister Sisters that was played on Saturday. As you can see, it is going to be played on Ghost Lake, which is definitely really one of the most used maps. I'm going to probably be making some kind of statistics when the tournament is ending, so that actually we know what maps were used often, which weren't, and such. And, well, the players are going to be for example, the Atlas Lions. We are going to be starting with Lat Nulgath as Loki, Lat Flash as Thor, and the last one, Zeus is back, is going to be playing Zeus, of course. What else with his nickname? And for the other team, the Fister Sisters, that's going to be Deities of Death Narve as Oranos, Nightkiller as Ra, and Joe 1244 as Set. So far, pretty interesting civilizations all around. Should be seeing quite different game, I'm thinking, from both teams, because looking at the Ra and Set double Aegis with Oranos for the Fister Sisters, interesting choice for Ghost Lake, because it basically kind of depends on the spawn, if the Egyptians are going to be good, and if the spawn is not favorable for them for turtle game style, it's usually pretty bad to play it on Ghost Lake. But well, let's see how it will end up. And of course, otherwise, the more aggressive lineup with the Loki, Thor, and the Zeus seems much better suited for a map like Ghost Lake. Well then, we are starting with having a look at Zeus is back, exactly the guy that we have been talking about a bit earlier, as of course, who else he would be playing with the nickname, and does he see some hunt? Because so far he doesn't, apparently, just having been forced to the berries, but he's definitely hoping that he will find something with, of course, with the Kalaskopos, and he definitely does. Those Devil Wars at the top, which is definitely going to be useful, and I'm really certain that he should be going exactly for the Granary, and he will be quite fine to go for the double piggies, and also was the relic. Better human soldier pierce armor. That's a pretty great one. Pretty great one indeed. Otherwise, he has already discovered extra hunt on the left side, which is definitely going to be helping him in the early game, and something that he was looking forward to finding. And he's going to be facing against Nightkiller, who is Zara. So potentially should be slightly slower, so it should be pretty much fine for the Zeus to gather from these resources and potentially even to take the front DC, which I think is going to be the best course of action, unless they go for some kind of Athena rushing from him, together with the support of the Thor and Loki. Let's see about that. Caravan cost and speed, definitely great for Deities of Death that it's on their side of the map and not on the other side. Or rather, not for Deities of Death, for Lats of course, for Flash Nulgath and Zeus is back, aka Atlas Lions, because this relic in the hands of an Egyptian, especially double Egyptians on the other side, well, yeah, they would just have to pick which one is gonna get the bonus, and maybe even potentially switch it around if one of them was a bit more lacking on the gold. But let's return to the scouting at the back of the bases, as we are seeing some extra goats and of course hunt, together with pretty decent amount of berries right next to the back TC of, it looks like for the purple player, for Zeus is back, also nice goal, but otherwise I can't really say that the gold placement is all that sweet for them, because if you have a look on the map, there's just basically one, this is not even back gold, this is quite close to the front TC of the purple player, so not really ideal at all as a back gold. So basically just only back gold in here, and otherwise I'm going to be cheating a bit with the Fog of War to have a look, and yeah, you see absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing behind their bases. And this is funny spawn. This is a funny spawn and almost something that would be worthwhile for Array, but they don't apparently go for it, as we are just continuing with the game, and we are seeing that this is definitely going to be a bit better for Deities of Death, because they are having at least 2 gold mines, but still, since they are Egyptians, we have seen one and there's other one hidden in the darkness to be discovered. Oh, already discovered, just now. By us, it wasn't really seen on the minimap, okay. But to continue the train of thought that I was just having is that without the back goal, this is exactly the spawn that Egyptians won't be happy about, because they will force to be quite aggressive, because they cannot really rely on one build gold mine, that's just useless, it's not enough. And they will be forced into the middle where you see a whole lot of gold. But of course this is not something they want, because they will be facing very aggressive gods like the Norse and the Zeus on top of that, so really not a good spawn for the Egyptians. They rolled the dice and kinda lost. And on the other hand, their opponents, they won pretty big time, so let's see if they will be able to somehow take advantage of this, because this map spawn is definitely going for them. We are at 3.5 minutes, so possibly advancing into the next ages. We are looking at Joe 1244. Going with the tempo already. Waiting for some advance into the next age, as he's also having a hand behind the base, behind his base, and right next to it also. And a relic, which is for cheaper siege weapon cost. Okay, that's actually a very good one for them. So basically making up for the problem with the gold, because each towers for an Egyptian 20% cheaper. That makes a whole lot of difference, of course. The Vice Relic in the middle is for better Toxots, Chariots, and whatever hit points. A very nice relic for both sides, as we are seeing a bit of the polar bears being transported into a different mindset for the yellow player, and we have seen this, and that's pretty much it for the relic so far. So let's have a look at the advances, as we are still waiting for Night Killer to click in, and they are definitely taking things a bit slower than would be really prudent. I'm not exactly sure if they really do realize what kind of map they are playing. Of course, Hendak's been researched for Narvi, as he's almost through Prometheus, whereas on the other side we are going to be expecting Freya from the Thor, from the Loki, of course, for Seti also almost up. And interestingly enough, both Flash and Nulgath are quite nicely walling, so they are preparing for basically protection, protecting themselves against Chariot Archer Radiant, which is definitely gonna come from at least Dra, but quite probably from both of the Egyptians, I would be thinking. And well, let's see if the Greek is gonna go for the second TC. So far, he's having 2 prayers, so that's going to be basically standard Centaur Raiden. You can see Jason and 15 cents gonna come up. The Norse on the gold. And actually, these are aggressive 15 cents, okay. And, well, definitely nicely played Bolt to get rid of the most annoying unit, which is definitely the budget, but he should be getting rid of those, or rather, away from those, but much more importantly, he's going to be losing time in gathering food, and that's, of course, a bit of a problem for him, and will delay his rushing on the opponent. So, yep, that's exactly why you do 15 cents like this. But right about now, should be just attempting to kill the villages that are almost dead. It's like only this one. Finally targeting him on there, so pretty nicely played in the end. And well, now we're getting ready in here, basically scouting, seeing what's going to happen. And I'm kinda curious why Flash isn't using the villages against the animals. He definitely should, because the animals are, of course, having very low hit points, so he could be just killing them. And it would also serve another purpose, and that would be basically stopping all this army and allowing his units, his archers at the back, catch up with them. So I'm fairly certain he will be facing much lower losses than this, especially when he runs around, get me right on top of these pairs. Well, well, well. Interesting 15 cents. I think could have been handled slightly better by Flash, but in the end he survived with 4 of them. So that's pretty much good enough for him, and we are also seeing on the left that Zeus' back is going exactly for the expected Centaur Raiden on the opponents. He is also seeing that Dra is going for Armory. And that's kind of interesting because it almost seems like that he's actually going for Fun TC Faster Heroic, which is kind of unusual in team games. We'd be expecting the 2 TC Faster Heroic, basically something as Dra is, or rather as the set is doing on the right, Joe 1244. And in the meantime, we are also seeing that Narbe is right now not only going for a bit of radiant into green, he's also having at least a few units on the right trying to defend his teammate Yellow, who is definitely going to be under pressure very soon, not only by Nulgath, but by Flash as well, who is probably going to be arriving in the battlefield pretty soon, as fast as he finishes with Longhouse. Interestingly placed tempo. Actually wanting to be having the door so that he sees them. Yeah, the normal building looks a bit different, like this way. He was turning around the map, and I'm turning it around as well. God damn it. I'm having a bit of a problem because, of course, my mouse is not really working all that well in turning the map in the other side. My mouse wheel doesn't work to the top really. Quite difficult. It's quite difficult. So, sorry about turning the map around so much. But we are looking at that. Purple in the meantime is switching into Hippicons and going to be interested in a bit of Radiant, which is exactly something that he should do. Because, of course, as soon as Dra advances into Heroic Age, which is going to be in like almost half a minute or some such, we are going to be expecting a Migdal being dropped, and let's see if the purple player is going to be able to somehow stop it or at least slow it down significantly. With another raided right now by Narve, who is still not going to be giving up on the hunters, killing another villager. But it's looking like the Flash is doing a pretty good job in the defense, and even though we would be expecting a bit more aggression from Lats and Zeus is back, it's so far not really happening. You can see just the troll. Ah, that's living dangerously. Right next to the priest. With armory coming up. So probably will be expecting upgrade into the next age from Joe as well. Oh, he's getting there. He's going to be getting there in like a minute or two. But to have a look somewhere else, with decent economy and so far just 2 stables. Not enough resources for any kind of anything. Not even Hippicons, not even the Centaurs, and we are seeing that he is the red player going for the back TC first, and only then he's gonna switch into Migdol and spam exactly what you would be expecting, the Chariot Archers. In the meantime, purple, or rather, no, that's not purple, that's steel, of course, is going for a bit different strategy than we would be expecting, and that's for a bit of booming, expecting that the Egyptians are going to be kind of hard for him to deal with if he doesn't have any kind of comparable economy and defensive position all across the map. So basically map control. And I'm kind of curious when the players are going to recognize what the map is all about, and that is controlling the gold in the middle, because who controls the gold in the middle is gonna win, especially once one of the teams is having the Egyptians, of course. Decent raiding by Nulgath at the very back. And that's kinda sucky. Yeah, those guys right now turning back, but of course, right now, Kawaita is blocking off the path, and that should mean that this villager is gonna die, and the other one already died as well, which is a nice trap right now. An absolutely big problem for Narve, because not only has he lost 2 citizens, and the third one is not doing anything, it also means, oh, well, that was just last moment, but the Valkyrie should be catching up. It's already moving some Hersirs in there, even though they are pursuing the villager at the bottom. Right now coming back, and they will be killing him very easily, as this guy is almost dead, as we have seen a bit before. Just wait for his demise. 9 hit points. The Valkyrie should be killing him very easily. Yep. So not getting away anywhere. And in the meantime, let's check somewhere else on the map. And that's, for example, as purple is exactly seeing that there's going to be not Chariot Archer raiding, interestingly enough, but Camelry raiding. So that's a bit of a switch, as Nightclear is already moving forward for the gold, because he knows he cannot really rely on just the one at the back. So he needs to gather gold from the front as long as possible, so that potentially if he's forced back, he still does have something to fall back on. The map is also kind of curious for the blue player in the pocket, because he apparently doesn't have any kind of gold in the middle. You can see absolutely nothing. So basically this is the only one he has a kind of easier access to, as we are seeing a bit of gold trading by Nulgath. And then he will have to move somewhere quite unsafe, and that's either the right or the left side. So he will definitely be relying on his teammates on the sides to somehow secure the map and really help him with the defense overall. Aiding with Turmas from him in the meantime. Killing the Ulf Sark, but it's going to be pretty much it. Well, but situation gonna get quite interesting for Nulgath very soon, because you can see 15 villages going to be running out of goats in just a matter basically of seconds. You can see already idols in there, and it's going to be costing him a ton of wood. Let's switch into Nulgath. And he does have the resources. Could be already advancing to the next age.
Tilbuin?
Kinda interesting that he isn't. Is he actually missing armory? Yeah, I think he is. Because I don't see armory anywhere. He's having so many resources. He could be already like, I don't know, half a minute advancing into the next age. It's just such a big shame from him. And oh man, he should definitely be doing that as fast as possible. We have seen locals being used, and they will be used somewhere at the bottom. Yeah, in here, on the gold. And no! Purple actually ran right back into it. This is basically, I think it was Killer Boy in RTS League who did this some, I don't know, 2 years ago or some such. And oh man, this is horrible. And Flash sending resources to Nulgath. Why? He doesn't need it. He doesn't need it at all. He needs armory to get up. Which is right now being built. So yep, that's unfortunate. Bit of a miscommunication. And let's see how the situation with Locust is going to be playing in Purple's base, because of course, right now, he is in pretty deep trouble, because without the gold miners and having pretty big problems defending against all those Camelry guys, because he doesn't even have, unfortunately, medium Epicons. As you can see, he's switching into hoplites, into defense. This was a pretty big problem, and a whole lot of villages dead from the locals, and definitely upper hand right now for Killer, who is going to be pushing for it. You can see he's going to be continuing with the gold and maybe trying to find something else at the back, but there is one big nothing, as we have seen a bit earlier. Yeah, potentially this gold might be in danger. We are still seeing a bit of Centaur raiding, and this is actually possible. Huh? Yeah, it actually is. Interesting, and something that they need to really take care of and be careful about. So we are going to be returning to the cavalry guys, and yet again attempting to turn back the map into the correct way, which I probably could be doing also through the through the reset on the account UI. Okay, next time I'm gonna try that. Because that would be a whole lot faster way. That didn't really occur to me before. So many villagers died though. Yeah, that's a pretty huge blow to Zeus's back economy. Let's switch back to the right, where there is pretty interesting battle right now happening. As Joe1244 is at 3 TCs, Flash is basically as well. You can see both the Norse advancing through Bragg right now. And, well, luckily for him, he is forcing the yellow player off this gold, but still, there is a TC. And there is one gold nicely secured by the Migdol on the left, which is, of course, basically the most important lifeline. And is this close enough? I don't think so. Shouldn't be targeting the TC. But even if it doesn't, apparently it doesn't, it's still going to be helping him basically get rid of this natural defense. And basically open this TC to a very easy raiding by any kind of army, like for example the Boars exactly. And well, that's a pretty big problem for the yellow player, who is right now going to be basically fighting for his life, because without the gold in the middle, yet again, not good times coming for him at all. Yep, he should be kinda easily getting down. And going down, as we are seeing pretty brutal raiding by Cavalry at the very bottom, and the Fister Sisters definitely doing their job in the raiding, and kinda interestingly better than what would be expecting from Atlas Lions looking at the civilizations. Here in the meantime seeing Ancestors as a defense measure right next to the TC. But it seems like that Flash is opting for flame weapons, and I kinda think it's a pretty good idea, because he seems to be basically housed. He is popped. He basically popped, and since his ally is in the battlefield as well, this is definitely a great idea, because his teammate doesn't need to use it. And of course, with the double army, this is going to be absolute slaughter of the yellow player, and he will need all the help that he can get from the blue one, and he is just now going in there, but it's going to be a bit too late, I'm thinking, because of course the TC is down, Ancestors are basically dead as well, and the army from the yellow player is going to be pretty down in numbers as well. You can see that yellow is now housed quite effectively as he's raiding with chariot archers, but not finding anything for him to kill. So goodbye save gold, as blue is arriving on the battle scene, having medium turmas and not any kind of extra upgrades, having medium or minos, not even that, just normals. And looking at, for example, Nulgath, who is at copper shields, pretty decent for him. Throwing axemen, also not mediums, but he's having copper shields, and this battle is definitely one for them, and they should be continuing into the yellow's base, which they seem to be exactly right now interested in doing. In the meantime, we don't see all that much happening somewhere else, just still a bit of raiding by Zeus's back, as he is attempting to at least find something to kill. Right now going to be probably discovering those market builders. Seems to be exactly the correct placement. Those guys are exactly at the wrong placement. Yep, goodbye Billy. Those two will die as well. And otherwise we are seeing also still continuing trading from Night Killer, which is basically the only thing that he's so far doing. But he is at least disrupting and killing a whole lot of villages. You can see yet again, that's about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 villages at least that were building the town center. And these are some huge losses of lives for Zeus's back, and that's the reason why he is at just 1500 score, basically 1000 more less than his teammates. In the meantime, we are seeing that blue is disrupted at the building of 30C, as Nulgath is already at 3 already, rather of course, and moving into the pocket, and seems to be doing a pretty great job of that. And considering that he still does have the flaming weapons, he could be basically killing his opponent right there. And since the trade route, you can see, is coming through very dangerous territory, very close to the battlefield. Going to be seeing some extra upgrades so far. Just Horus coming in from the yellow one. And is this working in here? No, isn't. It's just, unfortunately, in live games, these extra features on the UB balance patch maps by Rebels Rising. In the meantime, Narvi is doing a pretty great job of actually trying to secure the TC and prevent it from coming into the enemy hands. But with the ceasefire right now, I think this is a pretty clever idea, but I don't all the think it's because of the TC. It's just basically a lucky side effect. Or Nulgath, definitely going to be paying off. As probably right now, Zeus' back is basically just trying to protect himself, get up the TC, which he definitely needs quite desperately. And it seems like actually Nulgath stole his TC. This was Zeus' backs. Kinda sucks for him. But he's going to be basically at least holding for this moment, which should allow the purple player to hold on long enough, because it's really looking like, with Flash right now taking the TC of his opponent, so being at 4, the same as Nulgath, that his teammates are doing a pretty great job, and seem to be going pretty strong into the opponent's bases. Medium Raiders with baseline, and the opponent medium Turmas, and just normal Murmilas still, and Copper Mail and Copper Weapons. Yeah, pretty nice forward base in here, so it's going to be pretty hard for the opponents to get rid of them. In the meantime though, of course, Zeus' back is going to be facing pretty big problems, as he's not only facing 3 TC Ra, while he's just at 2 TCs, he's of course at technological disadvantage, and all the military buildings coming up are of course going to be moving in for a pretty big problem. So flaming weapons being cast, but already pretty decent army of both Steamfall Birds and of course the Archive, which are pretty great unit against any kind of Oloki. But we mustn't forget that there is still going on a bit of raiding by Flash at the very back and getting rid of the TCs from Narvi, who is down to just 1 and quite potentially might be down to just 0 pretty soon. But let's see, because it seems like that Flash is actually a bit more interested in going for the back TCs as rather than for the front ones. But Green having a pretty big army all around, with the flaming weapons is of course, quite dangerous for his opponent, who is attempting to go into Helios, and he will succeed. He will succeed, but he's quite lucky, because if the teal player actually knew about this, I'm thinking that he will be taking it down without any kind of problem, as it's not even fortified. So Helios coming up for the Vortex. As we are seeing the teal piggies going where are right now fighting right next to the back TC of the yellow player, who is definitely going to lose it. As you can see, not any kind of defense in there. And let's see how many villages he will be able to take with that. Of course, pretty big problem, because right now Joyce dropped to just 1 TC, the same as Narvi, whereas the only one at full TCs is Nightkiller, who is advancing forward on the TC of his opponent, but still not really with full army, and it's almost looking like that he's going to be falling back a bit more into defense, as he is going to be trying to help his teammates, who are in pretty deep trouble. You can see right now basically all armies from Sisters are arriving at just one battlefield, trying to fight in the middle, but since they are right next to the TC, getting a whole lot of damage. And right now Flash is arriving with basically the rest of his army. This is not going to be all that easy for them, and I'm kinda curious what the red player is going to be applying to this battle. So far not really seen all that much. Is he going with Mythical already? And we are seeing... that's a pretty good idea for the Vortex, aka Tornado, because of course this means that it will take down the TC and kill a pretty big amount of units at the same time, because it seems like that it's not really properly being respected by Atlas Science. Should be a whole lot more careful. The flying siege tower. And yeah, the town center should be taken, even though it allowed basically the tornado for the palace to get up. It shouldn't be all that much of a problem. So let's see how the Norse are going to be pushing through here. Really shouldn't be all that much of a problem, even though yellow is back at 2. In the meantime, Zeus' back is of course not having a much great game. Killer is continuing with Radiant, basically getting rid of any kind of gold gathering for him, as he's still not advancing even into the next age. It's still in the classical, I think. Still in the classical, and of course he's not going to be facing any kind of chance against his opponent, but it's not going to matter, because red player is so far not really advancing fast enough, and he definitely should be helping in the middle, because he is going to be much more useful in there than just killing Zeus' back, who unfortunately so far in the game wasn't really all the deciding factor. TC just now going to be finished at the nick of time, as the reinforcements from the red player are going to be coming up. Yep, just now finishing with the TC. super important right now for Atlas Lions, and they seem to be pushing quite strongly. And it's not really anything surprising all that much, because of course they are having pretty huge advantage as far as population limit goes. But I'm kind of curious, as I'm seeing a bit of yellow on the right, and that's exactly what I was expecting it to be. And that's pretty nice protection of the catapults and trying to get the DC under his power yet again, and could succeed, because even though there are some military buildings that could be potentially protecting it, still I don't really think that he has enough, especially since Joe is going for it quite cleverly with support by the towers. Yeah, a few units in there, but shouldn't be really enough against all of this. So Nulgath right now, the only one with 4 DCs, as Flash is dropped to just 3. But unfortunately Narvi is gonna be dropped to 1 yet again, and well, probably the DC at the back is going to be following close behind, as I don't really expect, even though it's fortified, that they have much of a chance to fight in here, unless Red really joins into the full. So far though, that doesn't really seem to be happening all that much, even though he's at least attempting to take down the DC, but of course Atlas Lions are paying enough attention in here. And on the left, of course, he is still continuing a bit more into the Purple's base, who is still unable to somehow establish himself in the game. Yeah, quite unsafe gold, potentially. That might be quite heavily raidable by Nightkiller if he is going to be finding that. As we are seeing Nulgath building not the DC, but rather a fortress, because rather Hillfort, because of course it's going to be slightly faster up and would be serving basically the same. He doesn't need the extra population limit all that much, he's at 4 already, but he could definitely use some extra building fire to help the defend against all those champion spearmen. Bronze mail, bronze, yeah, all the bronzes in here, so pretty nice upgrades, whereas green is having what? Also bronzes, but not against the Pierce, so of course that's why those Archai are going to be pretty powerful against him. Medium Archai with bronze mail copper weapons, and are we going to be seeing teal? We're raiders already. Where is actually his army? Switching a bit more to the right, as he's trying to get rid of the nonsense that, from his point of view, that Joe was doing in there with the catapults, but of course it was a pretty clever idea by him. Bronze, copper, as he's retaking the DC. And potentially going to be attempting to push here, basically to make sure that yellow isn't able to be at this spot as well. Getting rid of the DC through the catapult, so nicely played by Pistol Sisters, but it doesn't mean that the DC is not going to be, or rather is going to be switching into opponent's side and going to be helping them, but as of course they are not having any kind of pressure in this position, and this is basically still very much controlled by Atlas Lions. From DC being right now captured by Nightkiller, of course, to put him at 4, so potentially allowing him to be slightly better. And we are seeing Balder and Ragnarok being cast, and that means that Flash is right now going to be having a whole lot more extra army, and let's see how powerful that's going to be. We have seen the bronze, basically all 3 bronze, so that's going to be pretty powerful for him overall, and this should be pretty impossible to defend right now for Joe, even with mercenaries, because of course he's facing not only 40C army against just his 2, but right now he's having 80 more population in Heroes of Ragnarok, which is basically like 4 extra TCs, so basically 2 versus 8 TCs. Pretty tough fight to be had. Interestingly enough, still the TC at the back not being taken by anyone, as Zeus is basically right now just finishing the game. Doesn't seem like that he's having all that much of an army, just basically the Hibicon right now, the lone one, but he is definitely not giving up, and I think that he is crossing his fingers that his teammates are going to be faster in sealing the deal at the top. So far though, they are having kind of problems, because Narvi has been able to retake his base TC. So he's back at 2 and potentially having some kind of chance at a comeback. But yeah, this is exactly what was dangerous about the trade route, as I was mentioning it a few minutes ago, as it is going right through the battlefield, which will mean that it's going to be absolutely slaughtered, and that's not good news for both of these Egyptians. In the meantime, of course, Heroes of Ragnarok kinda die, because it seems like that Flash is kinda underestimated in the situation, trying to kill too many things at once, to be honest. And you can see that he's basically lost everything in here on the right flank. He hasn't been able to kill the DC with all the Axemen, by Joe basically being able to deal with them, even though they are just happy. Rather happy. Heavy. Well, happy maybe as well, because they've won the battle. But the second flank in the middle seems to be doing a pretty great job yet again against Narvi, especially with the support by Nulgath, who is getting rid of the trade route and of all the units that the blue player is attempting to put up against his enemies. Archives still, of course, pretty powerful. Kind of curious that they are still just mediums. Narvi. He doesn't have the resources all that much. But if he did get some resources, 8,000 wood, of course, could be selling so much and sending your teammate. Once he got actually those into heroes, or rather heroic H ones, that means heavy. They will be just getting rid of all the units of the opponents very easily. That's just a bit of a shame right now for Dots, because that would really help them quite a lot. And let's switch into Night Killer, who is having pretty decent economy as well. You can see that he's at 40 Cs, basically nicely popped, just pushing forward basically for the 5th. But right now he is finally switching a bit more into the pocket and trying to help his teammates, which is definitely something that he should be doing. Right now the situation is of course kinda dangerous for the Flash, because even though he has taken the 50C, he is without any kind of economy. Joe is right now content with just one, of course, but probably not for much longer. Quite, quite funny little gathering. Unfortunately found out by a medium thrown X-Men in here. So Flash should be seen, and yep, he definitely is, as he's sending a boar in there, and that's going to be a pretty big problem, because we don't see any priests, not even Pharaoh, in his position on the map. Well, right now Narvi in pretty big problems, as not even the help from Nightkiller seems to be enough to defend against the attack of both Nulgat and Flash. As the battle is going forward quite well for Atlas Lions, as it doesn't really seem like that Nightkiller should be at the bottom, pushing through his opponent fast enough, and even though he is going to be putting Zeus's back at 0 TCs and potentially taken the 1 so that he is at 5, it doesn't really look very good for his teammates, and it's really looking like that Atlas Lions should be coming forward victorious out of this game. Let's not really be too hasty, because of course there is still a lot of gold left for Nightkiller. On the left, he has basically, by controlling the left side of the map, been able to secure a lot of mercenaries, or not mercenaries, a lot of gold mines. But of course the mercenaries coming in will help with the defense, but probably not enough, as it seems like... Oh, that's a lot of villagers dying right now for Narvi. He's going to be losing basically his whole economy right now, because he doesn't have villages all that else. All that somewhere else. Oh, he's losing absolutely everything. You can see that Joe is right now resigning, because not even those birdies are going to be enough. And the push right now to both Joe and Narvi is just too strong for them to handle, and the extra population limit is basically allowing the Atlas Lions to do whatever they want in here, and they will be quite soon moving into red space. And yeah, Red wouldn't be fast enough to deal with the opponents through the back, even though he is attempting to do so right now. So interesting game, and even though it didn't really go as I would be expecting, because at first I expected that it's going to be a bit easier for Atlas Lions through early aggression. They weren't really playing all that aggressively, just went for a bit more defensive approach, but in the end it worked as well. Let's check the post game. Nulgath, yeah, well, yeah, don't have the problem with leaving him as the best player in the game. He was a pretty important presence in there. And advanced time Nightkiller, but of course he was Ra, so kinda makes sense. That's pretty normal for faster heroic. 834, not bad, but unfortunately Mythical Age eluded him. And interestingly enough, looking how he was an Egyptian and wasn't really facing any kind of strong opposition on his side of the map, so he potentially could have saved a lot of resources for him. Much of an army by Zeus is back through the whole game, but in here he did a pretty good job trading in there, and that was pretty much a crucial moment that allowed his teammates in the meantime as well to get the upper hand, then in the end win. Well, GG.